Stephen Harper goes to Israel. Shock, horror, CBC, angst and anger all round. Then comes the questioning of his motives and how this is all for gain and has nothing to do with belief and genuine commitment. There are, I don't know, a dozen ridings in Canada where the Jewish vote is sufficiently influential to maybe sway an election. And most of these, probably 10 of them, they're liberal, and they always will be. The idea that Stephen Harper is pro-Israel and pro-Jewish because he thinks Jewish and Zionist support will win him national elections is frankly hilarious. Unless, of course, you believe that Jews are so rich and so secretly powerful that they control the entire world and that Harper is beholden to them. But if you believe that, well, it's total crap. The protocols of the elders of Harper. If you do believe that, you're a moronic anti-Semite, probably living in your parents' basement, hello, watching internet pornography and listening to CDs of Nazi marching songs. And they are quite fun, aren't they? Seriously, though, such garbage can lead to horrors beyond imagination.
The Nazis had swept to power. Their stormtroopers were now protected by the government. And one of their favorite excesses, the persecution of Germany's Jews, was now government policy. There were arrests, beatings. Stormtroopers urged people not to shop in Jewish stores.
I'm not accusing people of being Nazis, but you've got to be reasonable and responsible. Then there is the political urban myth that there's some sort of Christian Zionist vote in Canada, that Harper and his people are trying to secure this by their support for Israel. Now, in the United States, there certainly is a Christian Zionist vote, and it's wealthy, it's large, it's extremely active. In Canada? Oh, please. The evangelical population is about 11% of the country, and many of them vote Liberal or even NDP. Remember, there's a sizable Mennonite community within that 11%, and they're often on the political left, and at least among their leadership, even anti-Israel. Evangelical Christians are simply not very political the way they are in the United States. The Muslim vote in Canada, however, is large and getting larger all the time, and it is often political. There are more than 1 million Muslims in this country. It's the fastest growing religion in all of Canada. In contrast, there are around 350,000 Jews in the country. If Harper really wanted to build an ethnic power base that was reliable and expanding, surely he would look not to Judaism, but to Islam. Now, this is what political leaders in France, Britain, Scandinavia, and even, it could be argued, the United States are doing right now. Then there is the dumb, simplistic, and even racist assumption that Jews only support and vote for politicians who are pro-Israel. Well, I wonder if, I don't know, Noam Chomsky or Naomi Klein or so many of the leading critics of Israel who are Jewish, wonder how they feel about that. Jews don't vote as a bloc on the subject of Israel. They may have at one time, but not now, not for some years. They also tend to vote left rather than right, to a sometimes absurd and bigoted degree. No matter how pro-Jewish and pro-Israel US Republican leaders are, it is the Democrats who receive the largest Jewish vote by far. President Obama, you could say, is the most anti-Israel president since Jimmy Carter, yet he still enjoys overwhelming Jewish support. Sorry, guys, but Jewish people often still live in the past when it comes to politics. Their greatest friends today are conservatives and Christians, especially the more evangelical and Catholic they are. And the greatest threat to Israel and the Jewish people comes from the hard left and from hard Islam. If only all of the Jewish leadership would realize this. But the reason Harper is so pro-Israel and pro-Jewish is because he's pro-Israel and pro-Jewish.
Now let me repeat that. Canada supports Israel fundamentally because it is right to do so. This by the way, is a very Canadian trait, to do something for no reason other than it is right, even when no immediate reward for or threat to ourselves is evident. On many occasions, Canadians have gone even so far as to bleed and die to defend the freedoms of others in far-off lands. To be clear, we have also periodically made terrible mistakes, as in the refusal of our government in the 1930s to ease the plight of Jewish refugees. But as a country, at the great turning points of history, Canada has consistently chosen, often to our great cost, to stand with others who oppose injustice and to confront the dark forces of the world.
I'm proud of that. Yes, a conservative politician who dares to be a man of principle and thus defies the bigotry and prejudice of the usual rancid bunch of leftist critics. Criticize the man for his view on these issues if you like, but don't be so banal and partisan to assume that everything he believes is merely for electoral gain. Good Lord, I may disagree with many people on the left, but I don't assume that they are liars merely because we differ. I hardly know Harper. I've met him a couple of times, but I do know Minister Jason Kenney quite well. And I can tell you that his regard and support for Jews and Israel is profound and visceral and predates his being a politician. As Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said this weekend, it's not really about Israel, but about common decency. We support tolerance and democracy. We condemn bigotry and dictatorship. Well done, Mr. Harper. Well done.
שיש מכנים את ישראל באופן גלוי מדינת אפרטהייד. נסו לחשוב על הדבר הזה. נסו לחשוב על ההיגיון המעוות, על הרשעות מאחורי קריאה שכזו. מדינה המבוססת על דמוקרטיה, שהיהודים יוכלו לשגשג, היהודים יוכלו למצוא מפלט. נים את זה בשפה שהיא שפה גזענית, חברים, מדובר פה בדבר שהוא מכליל לחלוטין.
The media coverage of what happened there, certainly in Canada and the US, what I've seen today, has just been so suburban and immature. If you know the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, you will know that goes on quite a bit, actually. Usually it's Israeli Jewish politicians screaming at one another. They might not be violent, but they can be vocal. Now, those two men, I know who they are, and one is an Israeli Bedouin, by the way, and many Bedouins serve in the Israeli army. The other is a man who is, he's a gynecologist, I think. He's a surgeon, graduated from Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And he made a speech, it must be 3 years ago now, on Holocaust Day in the Knesset, which was so beautiful and moving. To paint these guys as fanatics is just to misunderstand the situation. They're Israeli Arabs. That's why they're in the Knesset. Noel Shack, Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, one of those who wasn't taken to Israel. You must be a bitter and angry man.
Oh, it's all right. I'm enjoying watching it. And I get to be here with you. So.
The heckling, we have to put this in context. People knew it was going to happen. I wonder what would happen if, let's say, a Jewish MP in the Iranian parliament heckled a friend of Iran. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, that's just it. I mean, this happens in Israel. It's a vibrant democracy, and there's, very heated discourse that takes place in its parliament. Stephen Harper wasn't the only one to be heckled by these guys today either. The Labour MK who was introducing him also got heckled during his remarks. So this is just part of the political culture there. Similar to here in Canada. I mean, there's a lot of heckling that goes on in the House of Commons.
Well, one of the guys, and maybe it's changed, but I know a couple of months ago he was Deputy Speaker of the Knesset.
That's right. Ahmed Tibi was Deputy Speaker.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, they're part of the political process in Israel. There are no Jewish MPs in Arab parliaments. There are no Jews. They were expelled many years ago. Arabs are very much, thank God, a part of Israeli society. The trip has been a success so far. Would you agree? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous success. I mean, the Prime Minister's speech today was a wonderful summation of what values underline Canada-Israel relations, and it's been a great demonstration of the close friendship that exists and the opportunities that still present themselves moving forward to make it even stronger.
Yeah. He said in his speech, which I thought was very well done and well presented, he didn't say, as has been reported by some, any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. He did not say that. He said, when you single out one nation, one country for particular odium, and that is Israel, then that's anti-Semitism. And I would agree with him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it, absolutely. I mean, if you think even about the scapegoating that happens with Israel on the international stage, blaming Israel for all sorts of things, from turmoil in other countries like Syria and Egypt to, of course, the usual ridiculous assertions of Israeli spy animals, when they track birds that on their migratory paths, that this is Israel, undermining peace in the region with its spying. This is unfortunately a real thing that exists, and often if not in intent, then in practice it is anti-Semitic.
Even beyond, and I have a great deal of sympathy for the Arab peoples and for the Palestinian people. And I understand when you have a controlled society and a society that's not fully literate, all sorts of theories, conspiracy theories can be embraced. But we even see educated people in the West who single out Israel. We have Syria, Egypt, even Jordan, Iran not far away, Saudi Arabia just down a bit. All of these countries are deeply problematic in terms of pluralism and democracy and basic human freedoms. But Israel is always singled out. Even if you think Israel's as bad as they are, I think it's better, but even if you think they're all as bad as each other, they single out that one particular country.
Absolutely. It is hypocritical at best. And, you know, perhaps it's because Israel is so self-critical and such an open society where criticism is so free. Where an Arab MK can stand up and heckle a visiting prime minister and have no consequences for that. I mean, that would never happen in any of the neighboring countries. It's completely anathema.
Netanyahu was smiling. He knows him. They know each other well.
Yeah.
They understand what is going on there. And you know Israel, I'm sure. I mean, it's very loud. The communication, debate, argument. This is not Canada. People are very vocal in what they say. And between left and right, years ago, before you were born, Menachem Begin and the Likud and Herut party, the way they were condemned by the left, it was much angrier than that. I was very proud to be Canadian, actually, watching Harper today.
I think you're not alone. I think a lot of people were with you.
Yeah, I'd love to see what the poll is of how Canadians vote about that. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.